I'm choosing one. I'm going to take someone to 30 minutes east of Salt Lake. There's a city called Park City, which is where Sundance Film Festival is held every like midwinter. But even a tiny bit further than that, maybe like another 15 minutes beyond that, there's a little town in, well, it's called Midway. And it's like the most picturesque, beautiful little town. Park City's really cool. They have lots of touristy things you can do. There's like a main street with all these stores and, great restaurants and stuff. And you can go and see a lot of the like Olympic venues from back in 2002 when we had the Salt Lake Winter Games here. So there's lots of cool like activities and things to do in Park City. If you've never done something called an alpine slide, that's the place to do it. Super cool. It's like tobogganing down like a sled on this like man-made slide. Super fun. But Midway, if you just wanted to go and escape life and just disconnect and connect with Earth and like your family, Midway was settled by people who came from Switzerland. And so the whole town looks like a little miniature Switzerland, all the buildings, everything. And every year they have a festival called Swiss Days. And so all sorts of people from all over the country and really the world will bring in like handcrafted goods and arts and crafts and things. And then people just come from all over and you can sit there and like go up and down the aisles and, have fun buying these things. But then they have this cool thing called the Sheepdog Classic, which is like a sheepdog herding contest up on a hill that they used to use for cross-country skiing during the Olympics. And there's just all of these activities going on, a parade and like all these things for this Swiss Days. And they do it every Labor Day. So it's like the first weekend in September. Yeah, I was going to say August, but it's so much fun. So Midway is where I would take people. It's just beautiful and a great way just to connect and kind of let go of work for a little bit and just be present with family and with self. So love it.
Yeah, that sounds great, especially the alpine sledding you mentioned. I'd love to do more stuff like that. I've only actually seen snow once in my life. Yeah, so we don't get much snow here. There is places you can go up in the mountains and stuff. We went once and did a bit of, we were going to do skiing, but that didn't pan out. I think I was too busy. But I did a bit of like snowmobiling up in the mountains. That was so much fun. But
yeah,
I'd love to do some snow stuff. That would be great.
Yeah, they've got some ski lifts that even in the summer they'll take you up to the top of the mountain. So even if there's not snow present, you can still have the spirit of skiing.
Yeah.
Great city.
What do you do when you get to the top and there's no snow?
You can go hiking. Yeah. Oh no, you still get off. Like you still jump off the lift.
Oh, okay.
But and they'll have little ramps if they need to. Like if there's if it's too big of a gap.
What if you fall off and then you fall down the mountain?
You're like rolling down. No, they'll have like a little ramp for you to get off.
That's cool. Yeah, we gotta try that. Well, if you ever come visit Josh, let us know and we'll take you over there.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I've only ever been to Hawaii as far as the US goes, and that was great. But yeah, never been to mainland US. So.
All right. Yeah. Next year.
Next NGCon.
Yeah.
I mean, there won't be any snow, but Well, thank you for playing this game with us. Y'all shared some really fun stuff, and let's get into this interview, and so people can learn what we have to teach them today.
NativeScript is the best framework to address all your mobile dev needs. If you got a computer and basic web skills, you can make a native mobile app with ease. If you got an idea, you can make it come true. There are plugins galore, a big community too. If you love JavaScript, Angular and Vue, NativeScript has got a flavor for you. Visit nativescript.org today.
All right, everybody. We're here with Josh Morony, and just really, really eager to learn more about becoming a content creator and having side gigs and why you'd want to do that and how to go about doing that. So you've got your full-time job, you're a software engineer, a programmer of some kind, you love what you do, but you also have there's a few reasons, right? Like Erik was saying, it might be that you want some extra income, or maybe you just really love sharing and contributing, and this would be a way for you to be able to do that. So we're going to get into all of that and get Josh's great ideas and suggestions, but we never start an episode, not really, without introducing our guests and letting people know a little bit more about their background, where they come from. So Josh, as a programmer, aside from what you do as a content creator, in terms of being a programmer itself, you specialize in mobile development. And then you also offer like consulting services to people who are looking for advice around Ionic in particular, or similar technologies to that. And then along with that, you also share some of your Ionic and other content on a website called eliteionic.com. So that's pretty cool. You maintain that, share your content there. And for anybody that has not run across Josh's amazing videos yet, I definitely encourage you to go find those on YouTube. He has a pretty popular YouTube channel where he teaches a whole variety of topics from Angular, of course, but state management, NX, testing, performance, and like a whole lot more. His videos are very entertaining. We were just talking before we started recording about how one of his most recent videos was, it kind of brought in Lord of the Rings, and it just made it really fun, more relatable. But then on top of all of that, he's also written some books, and I'd actually really love to have you share more about that. And if you can, like, kind of the process of writing a book versus making video tutorials. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually, like, earlier on, I did a lot more written content, and it's still kind of what I prefer doing. But I did make the switch, like in the past year or so, I'd sort of focused for my sort of weekly content a lot more on the video side of things. But my process for, like, say, a blog post rather than a book and a video is like very similar. It'll often just be something I've been working on that is or has interested me that week, and I'll kind of just like get in the mood for like writing something about it. So I'll just do a sort of dot point outline kind of thing with some thoughts that I want to hit, a very messy kind of first draft. And then in the case of a blog post, I come back and then just make that nice, expand the things, fill in the gaps. And the same thing with the video, I'll write out a script, and same sort of thing. I'm just filling in all the gaps, anything I missed. So those two processes are very similar. For a book, though, I guess it's similar to that kind of planning stage of doing a kind of rough draft and then just working my way through all the different chapters and topics I've outlined. And that process usually takes me, I'm terrible at like time tracking. I've always like wanted to know how much time I've sunk into writing a book to see if it's been worthwhile. Like if I make, say, 10,000 from this book, is that worth it? Or am I really paying myself like $2 an hour or something? But that usually takes about three to 6 months, like, to get it done. And that's working like sometimes almost full time on it, sometimes like half time, sometimes here and there. Usually as the book progresses, I spend more and more time on it. I also get more and more sort of unhealthy about it too, I think. Like you get that sort of crunch mentality, I guess, and sort of, yeah, definitely get towards that burnout zone towards the end of writing books. So I don't think I have a particularly great process, but yeah, that's sort of more or less how that goes. All my books are self-published, by the way. So my process is like, it's just me writing stuff. So obviously if you're going with like a publisher or something, you got to have a better process with editors and things like that. But yeah, I've found the self-publishing process, I like that a lot. I've had the sort of opportunity to work with a publisher in the past, which I didn't do, especially if you are doing this kind of content creation audience thing. I think it's at least in my opinion, a better choice probably to self-publish if you're wanting to make like money, basically. But there's good reasons to publish with a publisher. A lot of people just want to go through that process, have the prestige of that, have their name on the book, and that's great as well.
So there's a question that's coming up, and this is something I hadn't actually thought to ask for today, but it's something that for anybody that's kind of heard my work history, like once I decided to get into programming, one of the first jobs I had was actually at Thinkster.io with Joe Eames. And then that kind of went into working at NGConf. But as part of both of those jobs, something I was really doing a lot of was helping especially at Thinkster, was helping other people make video courses and teach online classes, like tutorials and things. But Josh, I kid you not, like I probably worked with and met over 200 authors, and very small fraction of people actually finish those courses. And it's because the process can be so tedious and it's such a huge undertaking. It really has to be the right time in your life to actually, start and finish that big of a project. So I'm curious, you're someone that puts stuff out like left and right, and you just seem so consistent and regular at that. So what's kind of your secret to being not just someone that wants to make these courses, but being a finisher and being able to, see it all the way through to the end?
Yeah, I mean, I think since I started doing this like full time, having that pressure of like, well, I have to do something to make money. Ultimately, like I need to make money if I want to keep doing this. And that is a big part of the reason why I have so much, I guess, the time available to do this stuff is because I'm making money from it. So it's like a cycle. I got to keep making money so I have time to make content and so on. So yeah, that is a big part of it, just that financial motivation to push through it. But things like getting the content out, I sort of developed this habit of, I got this from Nathan Barry. I think, have you guys heard of Nathan Barry, the ConvertKit guy? So probably, I don't know, maybe back in 2017 or something, he had these sort of books and stuff on doing content creation and building an audience and that kind of thing. I have his posters in the background of my office, still some little slogans there, but he sort of had this idea of writing like 1,000 words a day, I think was what he did. And so committing to doing like a specific thing on a specific interval kind of thing. So at the time I started doing that, and this was sort of when I was just starting to get into content creation and books and things like that. So I committed to, I don't know if it was 1,000 or it was 500 words, but I did that every day and tracked that for at least a year. I think it was 2 years, something like that. And yeah, since then I've just sort of stuck to that habit. I eventually stopped doing the 1,000 words a day specifically, but that changed into I'll do a tutorial every week. And then at one point it was 5 tutorials every week, which was probably a bit too much to take on. And right now I do a YouTube video every week. So I've been doing Wednesday, 9:30, I have a new YouTube video. Been doing that for like over a year now. I think it's been a year. So that's just having one thing I just always do has been great for sort of motivating me to keep putting that content out. And yeah, the financial reasons to having to actually push through and finish a book, yeah, definitely helps.
Now, the listeners can't see the posters in your background. Could you tell them what some of them say? And I can only see one of them. So.
Okay, I think there's 2 visible on my frame there, but yeah, so there's 3 things, and they're all, I don't know when these came out. So Nathan eventually created ConvertKit, and I think this is where I got the posters from. But yeah, so it's about creating an audience, and I think the slogan is the way to build an audience is to, and there's 3 different things. So one is work in public, one is create every day, and one is teach everything you know. And I feel like those kinds of things have that. I mentioned earlier on when we were chatting, I watched your short little podcast on the Dev.Life branding changes. And I don't know, maybe I'm just making this up in my head, but I think maybe Brooke was talking about like things overlapping. Like you had your new job, and then you're using stuff from your job and in the podcast, and all this stuff kind of like overlaps with each other. And I find that kind of thing happens with these sort of philosophies of sharing your work in public and teaching things. And I'll put a video out on something and I'll get feedback on that, and people will, point out things that could be different. I take that into the books I'm creating, and everything just kind of flows between each thing. You're getting this sort of multiplying effect of doing one thing, but that one thing is sort of paying off in multiple different areas, which has been really good.
Nice. So
yeah, you totally talked about that, Brooke, didn't you? In the
I can't remember who said it. I know we said it, but I have such a bad memory on like who said what and when. I just know we did. Oh. But and it's true. I think we see that a lot. Like, yeah, like you'll be working on something at work, and then it somehow relates to what we're doing at the podcast, and then what I'm doing with the Angular community meetup. Like, it's really cool when life kind of comes together like that. You feel like you're doing the right things, So Josh, tell us